Good morning. Hello, everybody out there in internet land. Good morning, and thanks for joining me this morning. I am Reverend Julie Marantet, Healing Minister, and I have come to play with you today and hope that you will join me in a little soul sabbatical. I think it's very important for us to regularly take time out and touch base with who we really are and what we really want and what we can really do, what we can achieve. Putting aside all of the busyness and harriedness and worries of our world and allowing ourselves to tap deep into our sacred selves, allow ourselves to remember the divine that is within us and the divine that is available to us. So that is what the soul sabbatical is all about. Just taking a little bit of time out from the regular 7-day-a-week grind, especially right now. Everybody's at home all the time, and it all feels the same. But we get caught up in all that same busyness, and the distraction is usually not feeding our souls. It's feeding our fears, feeding our worries, feeding our sense of lack. So the soul sabbatical, I'm going to come and play with you every Saturday morning from 11 till about noonish. We'll see how it goes. And we'll just kind of touch base with ourselves again and remember the good parts of life and the good parts of ourselves and the parts we want to feed. And we'll just let the rest of it go. I have a few people I can see online joining me this morning, so thank you. If you're on Facebook, you can feel free to chat in the comments section. I can answer questions, or if you just have something you want to interject, feel free. Love it. During these lovely little soul sabbatical hours, I'm basically going to be just giving you my take on how things are going and give you some reflections on my own life and what I've been going through. But I also am going to do a little bit of channeling right from source and just giving you information straight from source itself without any of that human filter. Now, of course, it will be filtering through a human. So, yeah, unfortunately, you still got to get a little bit of me attached. But I think it's really important for us to get out of our own way. So I'm going to get out of the way and just let soul take over, let my higher self do the work. Hi! Good morning. Thank you so much, Christia, for coming and joining me this morning. I hope that you will enjoy yourself, and please feel free to, throw some questions at me or some insights or comments. Love to interact. That's kind of what this is all about, being able to not just get in touch with my own self and find my center and my grounding, which is super important every day to start your day off in the right mindset, but also to be able to, get that cooperative consciousness going on and feed off of each other and allow each other to flourish. So yeah, please throw some in the comments. Good morning, Vicki. It is so nice to see you this morning. So to start off with our first soul sabbatical, I kind of wanted to just remind you all what this is really all about, why we're here, why we are doing what we're doing, why we're experiencing what we're experiencing, and how we can change it if we want to. So to do that, I kind of got to get deep. Now, for a lot of people, going deep means, trekking down deep into some, old sacred texts or relying on some prayers and things like that. But for me, first and foremost, it means delving into what we know about our world, delving into the science behind it. I think once we can start to really trust in and build our foundation on scientific data that we know without any uncertainty is true because we have the data to back it up. There may be more data that will be discovered as time goes by and we can build on it, but it doesn't really take it away, what we know. So what we know for sure at this point is that our world is made up of energy. Anything that feels solid isn't. It's simply energy vibrating at different rates and frequencies, and making up these illusions of density, the physicality. But if you put everything through, a strong enough microscope and you bring it down and down and down into smaller levels, you will see it is simply just energy, vibrating energy. We're all vibing, baby. Now, what does that mean? Energy itself can transform, but energy does not end. Energy cannot be destroyed. Energy simply gets transferred. What does that mean? Well, that means that everything is cyclical, everything is continuous, everything is connected. We know from quantum physics, if you've heard me speak before, you've heard me speak of the double slit experiment and the Copenhagen interpretation, which gives us the awareness, the knowledge that everything that we think, all of the emotions that we put out, have an effect on what we observe. In quantum physics, it is known as the observer effect. All of the energy out there that is in its potential form, we know it is simply transferred out of physical or back into physical. So where does it go? It gets transferred back into this lovely little field of energy called the Planck field or the quantum field. And it's just stored as potential. It's just waiting to become something, anything that an observer puts out into that atmosphere. And then it comes vibrating back like an echo. So every time we have a thought or an emotion, a belief, you can even feel it when it hits that physical form. You have a thought and sometimes it feels good and it might even make you relax, or it might give you goosebumps if it's very exciting, or it might make you tense up if it's something that you don't like. It might make your heart pound if it's something scary. We have a physical change in our body. It changes our physical being when we have these thoughts and emotions attached to those thoughts. So we know it is having an effect beyond simply what's going on in our minds, beyond the consciousness. It gets transferred as a vibration out into this field that is incorporating everything. That quantum field of potential energy, it doesn't just exist out there in the somewhere, it exists everywhere and everything, even in a vacuum. Think of it as a vast sea of water. And every once in a while, there are little pockets of steam, and there are bubbles, and there's floating chunks of ice. But it's all water, just in different forms. So that's what we are in this beautiful quantum field. We are these condensations of physical, where we can be simply energetic, like those lovely little bubbles and steam. It works similarly. There are no perfect analogies, of course, but that's the closest one I can come up with that makes sense and is a good visual for me. So if you find a better one, let me know. But what's really interesting is because it's all connected, we have an effect on everything else out there. We have an effect on our physical environment, our emotional environment, on the people who surround us, not even just the people that we interact with, but the people we are in close proximity to, like your next door neighbors, who you might not have spoken to in 3 weeks, but they're there, and you're still having an energetic effect on them. We actually have lovely little machinery now, these lovely little testing things that can find, they can see the energy signature from the human body. Take, MRIs, CAT scans, all of that. Even an EKG, to a certain extent, will do it. So we have actually lovely little tests that have been done that can show the energy, the emotional energy of humans radiating from their heart out 8 feet from the human body. Now, that's not to say that that's as far as it goes and then it stops, but that's how far we can measure it currently with the instrumentation we currently have. Now, what's interesting about that is I'm sure you've had people that have come into your life and you've met them, briefly, and they just gave you a weird vibe, or you instantly just liked somebody. You're picking up on that energy. You're relating to that energy. And we have the ability to allow people to kind of be parasites of our energy, or sometimes we're doing it to others. There are some people who, maybe you work with someone who just saps you of all your energy. The second they come in, oh my gosh, you're just drained and you just cannot deal anymore. Or there are going to be people who really make you feel good and inspired, and they make you feel like you want to be productive, and they make you feel really relaxed and comfortable with yourself. These are the people who are influencing us. These are the people who we are picking up their vibe and we're matching to theirs rather than having them match to us. People who are resilient are great at being able to feel the energy that's coming in and say, yeah, do I want this? And if not, no. I'm going to maintain my vibration and try to affect theirs instead. It's all about that strength of the vibration and how much it will hold its own song, hold its own note. If you think of kind of dueling banjos, one can be louder, one can be softer, and it'll drown out the other. It's very similar to that. And you have to know what your vibration currently is. You have to know who you are and what you are and how you want to feel, how you want to perceive the world. And once you are able to achieve that, and one of the best ways to do that is to start off every morning by putting yourself in the proper mindset. When I open my eyes in the morning, the very first thing I do is I start saying my mantras, and I start empowering myself and reminding myself that I have the power to affect the environment around me, so that I am not going to be affected so much by those who are throwing their energy in my direction, unless I like it, but maybe being able to influence and soothe and calm and maybe inspire others around me, rather than having it affect myself in a negative way. That's a really important thing to be able to do. It's a practice makes perfect kind of thing. It's not something you get good at overnight. And if you do, great. I mean, anything's possible. Observer effect, right? So you can. I haven't. Most people don't. But that doesn't mean it can't happen. Everything's possible. Christia is saying, have you read the Celestine Prophecy? Yes. And the 4 control dramas people use to pull energy. Absolutely. That's a really great book, and there's a lot of good truths in there. And I think anything that really inspires and resonates with your inner being, that makes you feel divine and powerful, go with that. Go with that method. And you're going to find them all over. And it doesn't matter whether it comes from the Bhagavad Gita or from watching a movie. Whatever's going to inspire your soul, use it. Use that energy. Whatever you're going to resonate best with and is going to propel you forward in life, use it. One of the things that's really important to note as well while we're doing these soul sabbaticals is that we do have that effect on others around us. And not just in the people who are in our proximity, but we are all connected through that beautiful quantum field, that Planck field that I was speaking about. And when we put out that energy vibration, it affects that whole field. And if you think of that whole Planck field, that beautiful potential energy just waiting to burst into a somethingness, as the body of the great I am, and then the collective conscious as the mind of it. That's as close as an analogy as we can really get. It's kind of the thought process that's going behind the entire universe, and it drives us all. And so if there's a great majority of people who are having one emotion or belief system, it's going to be feeding into that quantum field and creating that from it. So it's going to come into the experience of the collective all, although some of them who are resonating with it more are going to have more of that experience in their lives. They're going to have more awareness of that coming into being than people who have none of it. You won't, if you do not resonate with it one iota, you will be blocked from it. Now, most of us, because we are sharing a group existence, we are community minded, we grow up learning different belief systems and dichotomies from, parents and teachers, politicians, and even our media. So we have a lot of those same core belief systems, a lot of the same emotional responses to experiences. So we are going to be having more and more of those collective experiences because of that. But if there is something we truly don't like, we don't want, we don't think is fair, we can transfer that into something better in our existence. And as we do that, more and more of that energy signature, that lovely little song, gets sung by that quantum field. And more people who resonate with it will pick it up. They'll hear it. I'm like, ooh. It's like, if you have like a song in the back of your head, and then you walk into a store and the music is playing really quietly, but it's that same song, you'll go, oh my God, do you hear that? And they'll be like, what? I don't hear anything. And I'm like, there's a song in the radio. It's that same one I was humming the other day, remember? And they're like, I don't hear. Oh, maybe. Because you're aware of it. There's a little bit of awareness of it. You're going to pick it up. And then as you're more aware of that song, other people around you become more aware of it because you are building on it. So we can change the vibrations going on in the world. We can change what is being brought into experience by changing the emotions, the focus that we put our awareness on. We are very powerful beings, and we haven't been taught how to use this power or how it works. The actual information has been out there for a long time, and we have had scientific proof of it for going on 100 years, really. But it's not something that we're taught. I think a lot of it is because it goes against some religious doctrine, and there are some people out there who would like to be more in control and feel that they should be. And sometimes it's nice to have other people in control and feel like they know what they're talking about, and it takes the pressure off me. A lot of times we, kind of put our power over to others because of that, not trusting in ourselves. But there's also, that habit. We just get into the habit of believing we're powerless, of believing we are not as free or as capable or as able or as magical as we truly are. And yes, absolutely, manifestation plays into that for sure. The observer effect itself is based off of the double slit experiment that was performed back in 1946. And it proved that depending on what the observer of the experiment was thinking and feeling at the time and what they expected from the outcome, what they believed to be about to occur, it changed the outcome of what the energy turned into, whether it was wave and energetic or whether it was particle and physical. It would change based on who was looking at it and what their belief system was. That is the observer effect. So we know that quantum field out there that has that potential energy just waiting to come into manifestation is waiting to become whatever you like, whether it's an energetic experience, whether it's a physical thing that you are trying to manifest into your life, whether it's a place on the planet that you would like to manifest being in. The universe, it's the universe's job to figure out how to do that. You just have to put your order in. Just like when you go to the restaurant and you say, I would like some grilled fish with some slivered almonds, and can I have some rice pilaf on the side? You throw it to the waiter, and he goes back there. You don't concern yourself with, okay, is the chef taking it out of the fridge now? Or, what was this rice pilaf being made fresh? Does he have enough of the spices that I like? Does he have to, come up with some lemon wedges now? Is he slicing them? Are they already sliced? Does he have to go out to the store and get them? You don't worry about any of that. You don't worry about where the sous chef is or how hot the griddle is. You just say, he knows what he's doing. He's going to make it for me, and they'll bring it out. It's fine. And that's kind of how we have to trust in the universe to do this. Because a lot of times what we do is we have a hope. We have a wish that we would like fulfilled. We have a desire for our life, for ourselves, for our world. And yet there's that background belief of, ooh, but it's never happened before, or so-and-so said she had that happen and then her whole world crumbled, or that's not possible, I don't have enough money, or people aren't kind enough to be able to have that kind of change in our world. We kind of negate that belief, or we try to figure out how we're going to do it. Say you wanted to manifest a career and you're like, now I have to have this 10-year plan and it has to go exactly this way, and so has to give me this exact thing, and I have to fight and struggle for it every step of the way, and I have to really be on top of things rather than just trusting that the universe is going to put it all in order and put it all on a plate and bring it out to you when it's done. And that's the hard part, because we are not patient people. I know I am not a patient person. I am definitely impatient. I'm an immediate gratification girl. If I want it, I want it. I want to experience it now. And that's actually been kind of a struggle for me, because, sometimes you do just have to trust, and you have to just wait and know it's coming. But one of the things that helped me most is knowing about the science that we have. It's not basic trust. It's not faith. It's not blind faith. Not at all. We have the scientific proof of it. Just like we know there's gravity, we know there's the observer effect. We know that. And a lot of people in more of the metaphysical world will call that observer effect the law of attraction, but that's exactly what it is. That observer effect means that the observer is affecting the energetic world around it and the way the energy transforms itself into the physical. That's the basics of it right there. So whether you call it the observer effect or the law of attraction, they're one and the same, and they are scientifically proven. And I think for most of us, we're told that a lot of the times, especially people who are a little more spiritual, people who are, into the metaphysical, that sort of thing, we're told it's all woo-woo. We're told it's all in our heads. We're told that, it's wishful thinking. And you know what? It is. It is all in our heads, because it's all about what we're thinking and feeling about something. And we know from a vast amount of scientific medical studies that the placebo effect is real. So even if it's all in our heads, and it is, and even if it's just wishful thinking and it's a placebo effect that's making us think it, we know the placebo effect is real and it works. It changes. When someone thinks they are having a knee operation and they have not, but they are told that they did and it went fine, they will actually have knee recovery. When people are given a pill to swallow and it's just a sugar pill, but they're told this is the new miracle drug that's going to cure you, they feel better. They have an actual physical, chemical change in their system because of it. So we know even the placebo effect is real, because our minds have made it so. Our minds change the physical. That's the observer effect. So even if it's all in our heads, yep, still real, because everything comes from in our heads. Even if it's the placebo effect, that's fine, because it's still making a change. We're still getting what we want, and I don't care what you call it, it's working. And even if it's all just wishful thinking, why would I want to have any thoughts other than wishful? Why would I want to have the thoughts about worry? Why would I want to have thoughts about fear, about degradation? Why would I want to feel shameful? Why would I want to feel depressed? I'm not going to do that. I am going to have wishful thinking. And just knowing that there is scientific evidence to back it up gives you just that little bit of an edge to be able to say, okay, I'm going to put my faith in this a little bit. I'm going to trust that the scientists, the quantum physicists out there know what they're talking about. I'm going to trust that I can put this out there and allow the universe to bring in something better for me, to manifest something in my life that feels better, that makes me more secure, that makes me feel like I am stronger and more capable, more powerful than I felt before. Something that makes me feel inspired to do the things that feed my soul and get me excited for life. Something that's going to make me really feel compassionate and joyful and grateful for what I have and what I can build and those other beings who I'm experiencing life with. Something that's going to make me feel like I can express in a really joyful, productive, uplifting manner. Something that's going to make my awareness pick up on those things that are better for me. Pick up on those things that feel good, that I want to see, that I want to hear. Something that's going to make me feel connected. Something that's going to make me feel like I truly am that divine being that science has already told me I am. So yes, that's what a soul sabbatical is all about. Even if it's for 1 hour a week, even if it's just for 1 hour a week that you stop, push away all of the busy work, the lists that have to be done, the people you have to call, the things you have to fix, the work that should have been done. You put all that aside for a little while and remind yourself, I am a divine spiritual being with the power to control the very energy of the universe to my whim. So I'm going to put out what I want. I'm going to put out the thoughts and images and try to conjure up the emotions that I want to feel for this week ahead of me so that I am putting myself in the driver's seat. I'm not just, putting the car in drive, shoving a brick on the gas, sitting in the back seat, closing my eyes and screaming and hoping for the best. No, instead, I am saying, I'm driving this car. I am taking this where I want to go. And once you start practicing it, and it's not always easy because you will find yourself falling back on old habits and more negative thoughts and worries. But once you start practicing it, practice really does make perfect. And every day you get a little bit better at it and a little bit better at it. And there will be days where life will get overwhelming and you get kind of caught up in the momentum of the negativity or, the busyness and the worry and the chaos around you. And days will go by and you will feel miserable. And then you go, oh my God, I cannot believe I did it. I just got myself sucked back into a negative momentum again. And I was focused on things that don't feel good. I was focused on things that I don't want. So I have created more of that. But all you have to do is just stop and go, that's okay. I forgot. It's all right. Everybody forgets. I'm still a divine creator being. I can halt it here and start fresh with better thoughts. You just forgive yourself and go, oops, sorry, forgot for a little bit, got caught up, and then you move on. One of the really great ways of doing that is by Ho'oponopono. And if you are not familiar with Ho'oponopono, on my YouTube channel, you can see I have a full class on Ho'oponopono and how to use it in your everyday life to start vibrating at a better frequency and just letting all the other stuff go. And it really does make a huge difference. But for a lot of us, we've kind of been trained since birth by other flawed people who didn't know any better that we should feel shame and worry and be competitive. And so that's what we get more of. We get more things to feel ashamed of, to be worried about, to be fearful of, to more people to feel like I'm in competition with for whatever it is I want. I have to be as good as them, or there's only enough for one of us, so I have to compete for the all-powerful whatever it is. But that's not true at all. We know that. Again, observer effect. What we are perceiving, what we are observing and feeling gets transferred into that quantum field, and the universe will deliver it back in physical form or experience for you based on that. So if you're putting out fears, what are you going to get? Fearful experiences, and it makes you go, oh, see, the world really is scary. I knew it. I knew there was something to be scared of. I knew I should have been worried about that, and it came. I was right. That's the observer effect. Of course it came. Of course it came. That's what you were focused on. So we just say, okay, what was I focused on to bring that? What did I order from the universe? Because a lot of times we do. We're going to go back to that lovely little restaurant scenario. A lot of times the waiter comes and says, what would you like? And instead of saying what you would like off the menu, we rattle off all the things that we don't like. Well, I don't like this, and I don't want that, and I don't like this ingredient, and this makes me sick. And of course, the waiter's not paying attention to you saying, I don't want it. It's just hearing all of the things on the menu that you just rattled off. We have to be careful what we wish for. How many times have you heard that in your life? Careful what you wish for. Now, usually when people say that, they mean it in a way that's saying it's going to come with a hidden agenda. It's going to come with some, little side negatives. It's not going to come in the way you want. But as soon as someone has put that in your head, what are you thinking about? The stuff you didn't want. And a lot of times we do it as well because we are people with vivid imaginations, and we do hope. We are dreamers. That's what we were put here to do, to manifest in the physical world. So it's in our nature to want to do that. We just have to be able to control what we are imagining. And when we are trained since birth to worry and fear and feel shameful and competitive, it's really difficult to break the habits, but we can. We can. I promise you, you can. When we are fixated on things that we don't want and they come into our awareness, it's simply a sign that we were focused in the wrong direction. We have such powerful, beautiful, vivid imaginations that we can create anything. We can say to ourselves, I want to go to the Riviera. By this time next year, I want to be lying on a beach, and I want to be having that experience, and I'm going to feel the warm sun, and you go through, I'm going to even get myself in shape so I'm going to look great in my bikini, and I'm just going to be so relaxed, and I'm going to hear the waves, it's going to be beautiful. But then in the back of your brain, we have this lovely little thing called the ego. And it's saying, how are you going to afford that? Yeah, like you're going to stick to a diet. Look how well that worked out before. You know you love cookies, and your mom said she was going to bake you that pie you liked. And every time you get tired, you go and order a pizza or whatever it is. Or sure, the pandemic's still going to be on. We're not going to be able to go to the Riviera. Blah, blah, blah. It just tells you all that stuff that you were trained to think. All that negativity, all that fear, all that lack, your brain is going to do that to you, especially when you're in the beginning stages of this, because you haven't had the practice makes perfect yet. The nice thing about that is, though, every time we start to catch ourselves and go, oh, well, maybe it's true that, in the past, I didn't save enough money, or maybe it's true in the past I didn't diet enough, or maybe it's true in the past that, all the borders were being shut down because of the pandemic. But in my dream, what I am bringing into fruition here in the world, it's not like that, because I can change things. It doesn't have to be based on past experience anymore. When I was only building things on what I knew from the past, it had to be the same as the past. It had to echo it. But I can imagine something better. I can imagine this without those limitations, without those problems. I can imagine it better. I don't have to imagine how it turns better on all of the little steps in the universe that so-and-so has to take, the little butterfly effect. You don't have to imagine any of that. You just have to know that the universe is on it and it can happen. And once you just know that and say, okay, well, universe, I'm going to order this, but without the almond slivers because those make my tongue swell up. Whatever. You're going to say to yourself when your ego checks in and says, oh, that can't happen. That's not possible, not probable, and you'll never do that. You're not worthy. Only the 1% gets that. Whatever those little hindrances are that your ego is going to tell you, you're just going to say, okay, well, I'm ordering it from the universe without that. That's not going to be a part of it. That's not going to be in the equation for me. That's all there is to it. And I know that sounds simplistic. And it really does not feel simplistic when you're first trying this out, when you're first manifesting these new ways of being and these new ways of thinking. But it is a practice makes perfect, because every time you catch yourself and go back, and it doesn't matter whether you had that negative thought for 3 seconds, 3 days, 3 hours, 3 years, every time you catch yourself and go, oops, didn't want to think like that. How silly. I am a creator being and I'm just, creating something I don't want. Oopsie, sorry, didn't mean that. Just cancel that, universe. This is what I want instead. Every time you do that, you create a new neural pathway in your brain. And each time you go back to that thought, that new neural pathway is reacting again. And every time it does, it's like a muscle. Every time you pick up that weight, it gets stronger. So that new neural pathway with the better thoughts gets stronger. And the old one that you're not using as much anymore, it starts to deteriorate. It starts to wither away till eventually that old one, it just falls apart, and you don't even do that anymore. It's not in there anymore to be a habit. It's just a memory. And the new one is what takes over. So on an energetic level, this works. On a neurological level, this works. And you know what? In practice, it works, because I have utilized it in my own world. And I know it works. And the fun thing is, you're always going to come up with new levels to manifest into. You're always going to come up with new things to create. You're always going to come up with resistance. But that's just because we are expanding. If there was nothing to expand past, you wouldn't be expanding. There has to be something there to go beyond. And that's all resistance is. It's something to push through, to get beyond, to grow away from. I know for myself, a few months back, 3, 4, I got into a really negative situation. And for most of my life, and for most of that time, my awareness on my life was really focused on what I wanted to manifest, and how I wanted to feel, and what I wanted to get out of tomorrow. But there was one aspect of it that felt really negative, and I got caught up in the momentum of it, and I kept doing the, why is this happening to me, and why can't I fix this, and why can't I figure out why this is, why this is happening, and what do I have to change? I felt cruddy about it. Oops. What should I have done? I should have focused on how I wanted to feel and how I wanted it to be, and just let my imagination just go onto that. Even if you can do this for 15 minutes a day, just focus your imagination on how you want to feel, how you want things to look and be for you. 15 minutes a day does a huge, huge, huge amount, because you're putting pure intention and focus into it. The rest of the time, you're kind of, just living off autopilot and picking up stuff and emotions and awarenesses and thoughts and ideas from your experiences around you. It's icky, but it doesn't usually have quite the same momentum as pure, focused, intentional thought. So you can really bring yourself out of that negative zone a lot faster by focusing in for 15 minutes a day. Now, again, works energetically, also works on the physical realm, because it is working with that neural network. I know for me, once I realized what I was doing and why this just kept snowballing, and why I was feeling so bad for so long, and why this situation wasn't getting any better, it's because I was fixated on how the situation was and what I didn't like about it. The second I did that, the energy dispersed and changed. And it got better and better and so much better. And now it's not really a worry it's not a concern. And now I've had practice getting over that. So if I do end up somehow getting caught up in that negative momentum again, guess what? I have that new neural network, right? So I can rely on that to help pull me out again. Think of it as you're walking through a forest and there's this really dark, scary path, and there's these big stones in the way, and it's kind of dark because all of the branches of the trees are kind of over the path and blocking out the sun. It's really shadowy, and it doesn't get a lot of sunlight down there, so there's lots of dead brushy stuff, and it's lots of things to trip over. But you can see the path, and you've been down this path, and you know that you're going to get a spider in your hair, and you're going to, get a cut from that branch over there, and you're going to trip over that rock and hurt your knee. But you know you can get to the other side because you've done it and done it and done it. It's going to hurt, but you can do it, and you see this path, so you know you can get to the other side. That's basically how we've been living our entire lives up till now, with all of the degradation and fear and lack and scarcity that's been going on in our lives. We've just kind of been going through the path that's in front of us, as scary as it may be, and just hoping for the best. Just let me get through this. Just get it over with. But when we look at this forest, and instead of going down that scary path we know we can get through, but it's going to hurt us, and we say, all this over here, it's all this brush, it's weeds, it's who knows what's over there. But maybe it's something better. Maybe there's no spiders. Ooh, I like the thought of no spiders. Or cute little spiders that keep to themselves and don't bother me or get webs in my hair. Maybe instead of rocks and branches in my way, it's going to be nice and smooth and just a nice flat place to walk, and there'll be pretty wildflowers and it'll smell nice. Maybe. I'm going to try something new. And you just have the faith and you do it. That new little path through the forest, as you cut through those weeds, they start to part as you go through them. And the next time you're faced with this same challenge again, you can say to yourself, do I go down the scary path I'm used to? But I can see a little bit of that old path that I went through the last time, and it wasn't as bad. I didn't know what I was going to be up against as much, but I didn't know that I was going to be up against anything either. Worked out well for me last time. I'm going to try it again. Every time you go through that new neural pathway, that new pathway through the woods, it gets a little bit stronger. You can see it a little bit more because you've trampled down the weeds more, and you get a little bit more of a footpath going every time, every time, every time. And the old one, you're not tamping it down anymore, so the weeds are growing and the leaves are filling things in, and eventually you can't see it anymore. And that new one, the better one, is the one that's easier to see. You're more habituated to it. After a while, you don't even think about which path you're going to choose. You just go down the better one. That's how it works. That's how it works energetically. That's how it works neurologically. So it is a practice makes perfect, and it is all about choosing and knowing that you have the choice, because up until this point, a lot of you didn't know that. You didn't know that there was even a choice to make here. You didn't know that you had the ability to change your environment. You didn't know that you had the ability to choose outcomes. You thought you had to choose only from what was already in your awareness from the past. You didn't know you could create new things. You didn't know that you are a beautiful divine being who was created from the same basic material as the stars in the sky and the trees and the earth and the water and everyone else around you. There's no one better or worse than you. There is no one more or less deserving. We are all born with that same beautiful, fundamental, divine worth. And when we allow ourselves to tap into that and believe in that and know in our heart of hearts that that is who we truly are, despite the disguises our world and experience has put on us, underneath all of that, we are all the same infinite potential, the same worthiness, regardless of how much money your family has, or the part of the world you came from, or the religious group you grew up in, or what other kind of dichotomies that you might have had hoisted on you over your life. You have the ability to create anything into your experience that anyone has. Anyone. And even if you are dreaming of something no one has ever achieved before, no one has ever experienced or accomplished before, there is always a first time for everything. At one time, there was a first chair. Whatever it is that you are desiring, you can create. You just have to put aside all the resistance when it comes up, and when you're aware of it, put it aside and believe that it is the universe's job to deliver it to you without that resistance. That's all there is to it. And again, it sounds easier than it is. Once you've had some practice at it, it really is easy. And you get so much better at it. And you get so much joy out of it. You see things creeping up in your life really quickly that you have no choice other than to believe in them after a while, because you start to see the evidence in it, just like you used to start to see the evidence in the things you worried about or were fearful of. Now you will start to see the evidence of the things that you choose to put your hope into, and your joy into, and your gratitude into, because you are channeling it in that way. That's where you are allowing your energy to go. It's all about the frequency you are allowing yourself, choosing for yourself to vibrate at. What song are you singing today? Are you singing the song of the worry and the fear, or are you singing the song of the joy and the gratitude, of the hope? For most of us, it's a little bit of a leap of faith. But once you start, it doesn't have to be a leap of faith anymore. And I encourage you to look at the science of it. Go and check out the Copenhagen interpretation, the double slit experiment, the observer effect. Go check out quantum entanglement. Look at the scientific evidence that we actually have in front of us. And it doesn't have to be a leap of faith. It can be a leap of knowing. And once you put your all conscious knowing into it, there is nothing to stop it. There is nothing that can stand in your way. I encourage you to start with something small. If you've been practicing the law of attraction, the observer effect, for a while, I encourage you to go big, baby. But if you're just starting out and you're just kind of intrigued and interested, start something small. Start with something that you don't have a lot of resistance to. I'm going to manifest a green sweater. Green sweaters are cool, I guess, and it'd be something I would be aware of. Like, if a green sweater happened to show up in front of me, I'd probably, it's not something I see every day, but I don't really have any resistance to green sweaters. There's not a whole lot in my life that says green sweaters can't show up. So start with something small. And then for myself, I find there's about a 3-day lag. So whatever emotion or thought process or whatever song I was singing vibrationally 3 days ago, that's probably what is going to show up in my experience today. And after a little while, you go, ooh, this is really happening to me. This is actually working. I am powerful. I am doing this. And then you start to say, ooh, I'm doing this. I want to do something better. I want to create something that feels better. I don't want to do that anymore. And as things show up in your life and in your experience in the now, and you start saying, what was I thinking of 3 days ago? Or, what thought process brought this into my being? You start to say, okay, I understand why it's happening now, because I let myself get carried away on that. I was thinking about how it happened 4 years ago, so it happened now. And it happened 4 years ago because I was thinking about it happening 5 years ago. And I was thinking about it happening 5 years ago because I read that story about that person it happened to 2 years before that. And then when you go back and you look, it's like, oh, I did create all of that as well. I just wasn't aware I was the creator. Now you're aware, and now you can start bringing better and better, bigger and bigger things into your experience, into your awareness. And you can start creating it for other people too. If there is a relationship in your life that's not working, that you always have, communication issues with, or they make you feel bad, you can just simply think about how you want it to be. Sometimes other people's energy and their awareness and their focus is so vastly and strongly on holding you back or holding you down that some relationships just aren't good for you. It's that, overpowering resonance thing. But the good news is, once you stop relating to it and stop singing the song of it, they stop being as attracted to you because you're not feeding it anymore. And you'll be able to get yourself out of that kind of experience, out of that relationship in one way or another. That's the universe's job to decide how to do that, to put all the parts together and all the pieces together and put everything in place. You just decide how you want it to be. One of the things that I find really important is that morning exercise of putting yourself in the proper perspective, getting your internal song, singing the song you want it to sing. And for most of us, that's a bit of a challenge. It is work. It really is. In the beginning especially, it's work because you have no idea how to create this. You don't know what you're doing. It's like if somebody handed you a car and said, okay, move it, but you'd never seen one before, you never even conceived of a car before, and you're supposed to bring it down the road. You don't know what all those levers and buttons and knobs are for and pedals, and eventually you're going to careen into a ditch. But if you've got the manual and somebody's there to say, okay, this is the gas, this is the brake, these are the lights, these are the windshield wipers, help you see better, you can get there a little bit easier, and you don't have to careen into so many ditches and trees. So that's what I'm hoping to do for you during the Soul Sabbaticals on Saturdays. I'm going to help you just to clear the way a little bit and learn how to use these new muscles that you are acquiring energetically and learn how to use your divine gifts, because you are a beautiful, divine, sacred being who came to earth to enjoy and to create and to expand and to experience and to just have fun. And if you haven't been doing that up until this point, you are due. You are due. You are so due to enjoy life, to enjoy who you are and what you're experiencing. So come and join me on Saturdays, and I will do my very best to get you inspired, to soothe the soul so that you can create other things and put your mind and focus on better things for yourself. I am excited to do this. I have done lots of online classes before, but this is a little bit different. This feels to me almost like a little sermon. This is my little church, and I'm going to come to you and tell you from my heart how I feel about life and about how it works and about you and about how wonderful all of this really truly is and how we just forgot, silly us, silly humans, but we are on the precipice of something bigger and better and stronger and oh so much more beautiful than we've ever experienced as beings before, as a species before. And it's a really exciting time to be able to step into our power and to be able to grow a world that we can really love and respect and be grateful for. So I hope that this is something that interests you, and I hope that you will enjoy joining me on Saturdays. And I am so, so grateful that you joined me today. And if you like, I am still doing one-on-one appointments via video during the pandemic. I'm not doing in-person appointments at all, but we can do whether it's neuro-linguistic programming or whether it's a little bit of soul ministry, whether it's, you know, reading from your Akashic records, whatever it is that might help to bring you back into your beautiful sacred being. I am here. So you can always shoot me a message on Facebook or shoot me an email, juliemarantet@gmail.com, and we'll get you set up with a video appointment. But otherwise, I'm here on Saturdays, and you can check out my YouTube channel as well for other classes and information. But I'm really grateful that you were here to join me. I'm really grateful that I have this knowledge to impart to other people, because it has given me such great joy and such great power in my own life. And I am so excited for you to feel good about who you are and who you are becoming. Enjoy the week ahead, and don't forget to take stock of what's happening internally and choose which song you want to start your day singing. Thanks so much, everybody. Have a great day.